So I'm gonna try this video again. I had some bad sound quality, and I do want to apologize for anyone who have watched that video. So I'm gonna take a look at doing an extrusion here in Inventor. Here's the part that we're gonna be creating, and as you can see, it's gonna be in a simple extrusion. There is gonna be one plane that we're gonna do all of this on, and we're gonna try to make sure that we're locking our sketches and keeping everything the way we want it here in the beginning. So let's go ahead and open Inventor. Okay, so here I have Inventor open, and you can see that my project is still on the example one. So if you have created a project, it's good to make sure that's checked so your drawing is going in the same place. This drawing is going to be in metric, so I'm going to use the drop down here where it says new, and remember that if the words new is showing up underneath, I can go ahead and select the top icon. When you do that, you're going to get a dialog box that should appear. I'm on metric, and then I'm going to use the standard millimeter IPT. Remember that you can double click on this, or you can have one click on this and hit the create button. Either way will load Inventor up into a millimeter standard. So let's go ahead and wait a little bit and let Inventor start to load. Okay, so once Inventor is loaded, let's go ahead and start a 2D sketch. Once again, I can read this Start 2D Sketch here at the bottom, so I'll just go ahead and select the top icon. It's going to ask me which plane do I want to put this on, and I'm going to orient this in such a way where it's going to extrude going up, so I'm going to check this XZ plane. Once you select the XZ plane, I always like to take a look at my view cube, and I can see the words top is kind of going the wrong direction, so I'm just going to turn it with the arrow. Now it's facing the correct orientation. Let's go ahead and start sketching out our part. So I'm going to start with a line, and I'm going to start at the lower left part of my object. From this picture you can see I'm planning on starting somewhere in this location. So I'm going to go down this distance of 20, and then I'll go ahead and start creating the rest of this shape. One of the biggest mistakes that most people will learn if they're coming from a 2D program is that they'll try to create both of these sketches. Remember that I'm creating one part, so all I have to do is if I can get this profile, which is going to consume all of these other views into it, I only need one sketch. Okay, so back in Inventor, it's asking me to basically pick a starting point. Where do I want to start this line from? So I'll click anywhere I like. I'll click here, and remember that now I'm getting that horizontal kind of icon or constraint that's placed on this. And once I get that, I can type in the distance that I want that line to be. And in this case, it is 20. So I'm typing in 20. Make sure that that icon or that constraint is still holding. Hit the enter button. And then I can go on and start creating the rest of this. Now, you can go ahead and start putting in those numbers and create it just like you would do in most of your 2D programs. Or you can just sketch it out and come back and put the dimensions later. So I'll do this one as well. I'll type in 50. I'll go up a distance, and now you can see I do have a perpendicular icon there, and now I need to determine how far do I need to go up. Well, this one is exactly in line with the other one. We can go ahead and type in 20. I'll come back this direction, and I can see from my drawing that that dimension is 40. I'll go up this direction, 20. Now you will notice that I am getting those icons, and I'm going to intentionally mess up here on the back end just so I can get everything and show you how you can correct some of that stuff. So for example, I do want this line to be horizontal, but maybe I had my icon or I had my line obscured a little bit. And in this case, I'm just going to type in 40. You're going to see that that will create that line, but it's at an angle. We'll come back and adjust that as we need to. I'll go up this direction. Let's go ahead and type in 20. And you can see what this line did. It tracked off of this endpoint here, and it went up. And that's what you're seeing with those double lines on there. In this case, we do want that to happen. So I'll go ahead and leave it on here. But in the future videos, you have to be kind of mindful of what's going on and making sure that it's not tracking off of any other point. Okay, so I'm going to go this direction, and it is the same distance as my line below it, so it's okay to leave it tracking here. I'll do a left click here, We'll come down, and we do have a distance for this one. Let's type in 20. We want this line to go back a distance of 35. Once again, I'm making sure that I'm getting a perpendicular off the line that I just previously drawn. That's going to be 35. Come down this direction. That number is 20. And then what I'm going to do is, just to make sure that everything closes the right way, I'm just going to physically click on that endpoint here. And it should take you out of the line command, meaning that the line command is still active, but it's not still tracking a line off the end of that. Let's go ahead and hit the escape button to get out of the command. Okay, so some of the things you can see that we do have some mistakes in here are things that we need to fix. My first one that I'm going to fix is make sure that this line is horizontal. So I'm going to select the horizontal constraint. And what I always like to do is preview on my line. So as I'm touching that line, you should get a horizontal dotted line. If I get in a vertical line, for example, usually sometimes that means my words are going the wrong direction, and then I can just select the other one. But in this case, horizontal, and it will make my line go horizontal. Once I did that, everything is straightened up. And I'm looking down here at the bottom on the dimensions that I need, and it says that I need 2 more. Those 2 dimensions, remember, are in conjunction, or they're trying to look for it in reference to this origin point. Okay, so the overall distance of my shape is 90. What I like to tend to do is I usually put a reference dimension on that. And what I mean by that is that if we do a dimension from this line to this line, and I come and click here, it's going to say that, hey, I'm over constraining it. Do I want that dimension? In this case, yes, I do. The last part of this is asking me or telling me that it's going to be a driven dimension, meaning that these other dimensions are what's going to drive this dimension. The reason I'm using this reference is that it'll be easy for me to center this part based off of that reference geometry. I'll go ahead and do one more of those reference geometries from this line to this line, and I'll place that one, and I should get the same error message as you can see. Let's go ahead and accept that one. So I have these 2 dimensions now, and that's what's going to give me my center when I center this part. So I'm going to use a dimension from this line to my origin. Once I come here and place that dimension, it's asking me what's the distance that I want. Well, I want that distance to be based off of this dimension, so I'm going to select that one. It puts in the character for it, and I'm going to divide that by 2. Now you're going to see that anytime that 90 number changes, it's going to be divided by 2. And remember that that 90 is driven off of my other dimensions. I'll do the same for this 60 one. I'll put a dimension from this line to that center point, and then I'll place it here. I'm going to reference this dimension, so I'm going to select it and divide that by 2 and hit enter. You can see now that it's telling me that my object is fully constrained, and I really do like to have my objects fully constrained. Inventor will let you go ahead and extrude things that are not fully constrained. So if you don't have all the dimensions on there, or you're still missing dimensions or a constraint, it will still let you extrude it. Let's go ahead and go to Finish Sketch. I'm just going to back out a little bit, and I'm just zooming away from it. And then I'm going to choose the Extrude command. Once I select Extrude, I'm going to get a dialog box appear. I have one sketch, so it automatically knows what to extrude. It's not confused. It figured out everything that I wanted to do. It's asking me or waiting for me to give it a distance. From the drawing, that height of this is 35. So I'm going to type in 35. And you got to kind of try to remember not to hit the enter button, because if I hit the enter button, it's going to accept that and it's going to exit out of this command. So I'll type in my 35, and then you have to tell it which origin that you want it. So for example, this is going extruding up. Well, maybe you want that to be extruding down. That's what this next option is for. If you want it to go symmetric, that means it's going to go 35 and it's going to automatically split that 35 in half for me. Or you can use a asymmetrical, which means that if you want, for example, 20 at the top and 15 at the bottom to get to your 35, you can do that. But for this example, I'm just going to set it to symmetric. And then I hit the OK button. And now you can see that you do have an object that is created in Inventor. That's a 3D. We can take a look around this just to make sure that everything is right. And I'm just orienting around my view cube here, and you can see that I can take a look at all the different views that I want to take a look at. Okay, so I hope this is kind of useful to you. And make sure that you save this part, because once you go ahead and want to do a drawing of this one, you're going to have this part saved. And we're going to take a look at doing a drawing of this one. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.